So this is a question I didn't plan to ask, but I think it's very a good question right now. Many people might be entering into an organization where they might necessarily like the role that they're in, but they
Yeah.
might want to grow in the organization to
Yes.
a place where they can be in a role that they like.
Mhm.
What was that like for you, or what advice would you give to someone else trying to navigate that?
Yeah. I think you have to advocate for yourself. The role that I have now it didn't exist before. Senior manager of program partnerships did not exist. The project manager position actually did not exist on that team before. And I basically kind of just said, this is what I want. So I think, you know, if you are looking for certain roles, be clear with your manager on where you want to grow, what skills you want to gain, what roles and positions you know, what titles you would like to have. You have to do your own research. I very much did a lot of research before I decided on this title, and I always led with my interests. I think I lead less about the money, but more about like the interest of what I wanted to gain. For this particular role that I'm in now, it's I do more like grant management, grant administration work, while I'm still developing and designing, implementing programs. So. Um, I told my boss at the time, I was like, I want to learn more about grant management. And if there's possibility for you to get me in that space, that would be great. And there was a few others on our team who were doing that. And so, yeah, I was like, get me into grant management. Also, partnerships is so important to, the longevity of this organization. So I would be interested in that.
And then what was your thought process? So like how did you come to deciding that senior manager of program partnerships was the title that you wanted? And it seemed like you wanted to gain that grant management experience
Yeah.
and some other experiences. So like how did you get to that point to say like these are the things that I would like to develop in?
I got to that point again through research and through several conversations with my supervisor at the time, or current supervisor too. But we just had several conversations until we passed that job description back and forth until I was like, okay, this looks good. I like what's in there. I'm excited. I feel like I can expand in this role. I can also have a good baseline, and I can do this for 2 to 3 years, and then we can have discussions again. So yeah. That's my general rule of thumb for any role.
And I'm glad you put in the point about having the discussion again in a few years. I think that's real.
Yeah.
So what does your role as senior manager of program partnerships involve?
Yeah. So right now, like I said, there's two parts. There's the grant management part, and then there is the program design and management part. And so, with the grant management part, there is a CDC grant that I help to manage and administer, called ACE, which is Advanced in Care for Diabetes Equity Management and Prevention. And so, with that grant, it's been cool to work on contracts, budgets, invoicing with our several different partners, whether that be with community based organizations or small practices, looking at how we can bring in some of the so we work with a platform called Unitas, and they do referrals for social needs services. So we incorporate that within the grant as well as another partner. We'll have like different partners adopt that technology and then refer their patients based off of that. And for the program partnerships side, I am currently doing more workforce development around community health work and student MPH student work. And so I've created a student placement program where we have MPH students who are interested in learning more about public health. And so they can do their practicum work at the Department of Health. And then there's a second point to it where there's community health workers or students who are doing a course in community health work where they can come to the Department of Health as well. And I will help to assign them different places throughout our New York City small practice clinics where they can be on the grounds and help with some of referral work or help with some of the administration work there. So those are like the two parts of just like grant management and program design and management. I really love the student placement program work that I'm doing. I get to be, a mentor and give them opportunities for developing the workforce in the future. And I think that's so important. So, yeah. And then, of course, the grant stuff is great too.
And for the student mentorship and the workforce development type work, what makes a successful student intern, or yeah, what makes a successful student intern?
Yeah, right now we have a stellar student intern. I'm not going to name their name, but what has made them very successful has been their just like their hunger. I think they are so passionate about public health. They're so passionate about the care that they give back. They want to learn about everything. They don't limit themselves. They have an open mind, and they're flexible. And so we've been able to give them several opportunities. They've been open about what they wanted to learn, and we've been able to give them several opportunities to work on that as long as it's possible. So I think someone who is passionate, compassionate, organized is very good. Someone who is, wanting to give back in the space of public health, who it's again good with data. You don't have to know data, but be okay with like dabbling in it. Um, Really makes for a stellar employee. And you also just have to be good in relationships with people. I think that's a soft skill that people sometimes overlook of like I can just do my work really well and not get along with those around me. But as long as my work is looking great, then it doesn't matter. And it's like, actually, no. A part I hate to say it, I think it's maybe partly office politics, but it's also just like learning how to work in community with others, and making them feel comfortable with collaborating on a big project with you.
And on that note of like relationships, we spoke about the importance of like partnerships with different organizations within the community.
Mhm.
So how do you go about developing good relationships with those partners and creating those types of relationships and partnerships?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with defining what the common goal is, right? Defining the barriers to getting to that common goal, um, talking about which resources we each have that can like help get to that point of movement for that project or program, and also just being transparent, being open, being friendly, and being realistic. Like sometimes somebody gives you some out of pocket suggestion and you're just like, listen, we can't do that. It's not in our budget right now. Or we don't, or like, maybe that's a future plan or, how, or asking like, how did you get to that point of thinking? But I think, collaboration is great and it just allows us to touch more people and have more impact.
What do you enjoy most about your work?
Hmm. I like that it keeps me mentally engaged, and I like that I get to work with some incredible people. The people that I work with are so intelligent and, like I said, compassionate, and they all care about the work. They all care about the impact that they have on all New Yorkers. And so it's just been a really, um, like it's been such a good space for my mental health, I think. But also like I'm constantly being entered into like new projects or exposed. Like I always know that there's opportunity is there as long as I ask. And so it feels like there's always room to grow. And like the skills that I gained here, I don't know where else I could have gained in so quickly somewhere else. But like it's just been a real gem of an experience.